While setting up the rudder pull-pull system, it's important to make sure that the mounts at the rudder are the same width as the mounting points on the double-arm servo arm that we're using. If these dimensions are different, one of the pull-pull cables will always go slack when you input rudder movement. Take the time to get this right and your rudder's going to work better. This is the pathway for the cable when you're making up this type of pull-pull system. And this is after I finish snugging the cables up and crimping the little retainer. Here I was adding the extensions to the elevator servos. For permanent connections like this, I use shrink wrap rather than plastic clips. The shrink wrap is very secure, plus it's a lot easier to fish through a structure if you have to. I love having this high-tech servo programmer because it lets me set up all the servos before I ever put the receiver in. I've included a link on where you can get this drilling template for the DA50R. Oddly, with all of their design and computer horsepower, DA doesn't offer one of these templates for their customers. DA makes great engines, and we all know that, but they need to step up and include drilling templates on their website for their motors. With that template, even I can get the motor mounting holes in the right places. With the 2.5-inch standoffs attached to the motor, it's clear that we need a hole in the firewall or this carburetor is not going to breathe right. I used a big Forstner bit to make the hole and just took my time and went easy so I didn't blow out the back end of the firewall. And we want to take the time to sand all the edges so you don't have anything that'll cut fuel lines or wires. This fuel dot is sold under a bunch of different names. You can get them from a bunch of different places, but it's all installed from the outside, and I really like these. Normally we'd glue a windshield like this in place, but because it's such a good access point to the interior, I screwed it in. I've heard of other people doing that as well. On Maiden Day, this came in really handy because I needed to get at a wire. Remember that cockpit that looked so big? It filled up in a hurry. By the time I got the SmartFly board, all the batteries and the fuel tank in place, I was out of room. I wanted to keep the switches inside, so I had to build places for them to go. The top edge of this door needs a small angle sanded into it so it slips by the window easier. I also installed the wheels and tires and then put some O-rings on the suspension. I put 2 O-rings on each side of the suspension, and that seems to work pretty good. I'll try another one or maybe 2 more on each side later on at the field. I went with a Sullivan flying wire kit because I like them better than what comes with the kit. You have to solder these, but it's real easy, and I think you get a cleaner installation. These high-end control horns are more often used on bigger airplanes. They are nice to have, but when you're setting up the control throws, you want to make sure that there's no conflict between these at any portion of the movement. I made my elevator control linkages from these carbon fiber tubing and titanium ends that I get from Central Hobbies. You glue the ends in with JB Weld 24-hour version, not the quick version. Since I don't have a cowl yet, I'm going to use a stock DA muffler for the maiden and probably the first couple of weeks of flights. This shot is early in the morning on Maiden Day, and I just got done going over all the nuts and bolts again one more time before we put this thing in the air.